Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Blair and today's video is kind of a different video. I'm going to be sharing the if I could only choose one tag, I guess. I think this was a tag that went around a year or so ago that I've seen several YouTubers do, and I've tried to do this a few times, but it's so hard for me to only pick one product from each category. But this time I did it, and I just kind of went through and did a full face with all of my favorites if I could only choose one from each category. So if you're interested in some of my favorite products and how I got this makeup look, please keep watching and let's go ahead and get into the video. So I wanted to film this video for quite a while. It's just taken me this long to feel like I've truly picked the things that I know I would choose if I just had to pick one. And I finally think I've got the right list. And of course, I could probably film this a year from now and my favorites would change. But as of right now, these are all the things that I would choose if I could only choose one from each category. The first thing I wanted to start out with is sunscreen. I thought about not including this in this video, but I feel like sunscreen is something we should all be wearing every single day, and I think it's interesting to know what people's favorites are. My favorite, you can probably guess if you watch my videos, is the Cerave Ultralight Moisturizing Lotion with SPF 30. I like this because this does not have a tint to it. It has a pump, it's SPF 30, and I like this actually because it dries to a matte finish, which I actually like dewy sunscreens. I love dewy, glowy makeup in general, but sometimes I don't want that to interfere with the makeup I'm putting on underneath. So I usually find that sunscreens that dry down to more of a matte finish work better for me under makeup. Now, if I'm just going for really, really minimal makeup and I'm just gonna put on some SPF, maybe some concealer, and that's it, then in that case, I don't mind a dewier sunscreen. But for under makeup, I typically prefer more of a matte finish. So as you can see, it did set down. It's not sticky or tacky at all. It's totally set down on my face, which I love. Next is a corrector, and if you watch my videos a lot, you'll know which corrector is my favorite. It's the Bobbi Brown corrector in the shade Bisque. I like this one from Bobbi Brown, number one, because it's very pigmented. It's very full coverage, and if you have discoloration under your eyes, like you can see I have it on both eyes, you need something a lot of the time that is thicker and a little bit of a fuller coverage if you really do have darkness. So I just kind of tap mine on. I know most of you have seen me do this so many times, but as you can see, before I even blend it in, like you can see how that just corrected under my eyes. It's crazy. And I also bring this up right here in my inner corner too, because I tend to be dark there also. So after I let it sit for just a second, I just lightly take my ring finger and just make sure this is nice and blended in. All right, now let's move on to concealer. And for this category, I picked two, even though I'm only supposed to pick one, but these are from the same brand, so I feel like I couldn't say I liked one of these better than the other because I like them both for different reasons, but I love them both, and these are my favorites. Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. Talked about this several times on my channel, and then the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer. So this is the one that is more of a cream and it's in a little pot. I've been using the Radiant Creamy longer than I've been using the Soft Matte. I love them both. The Soft Matte I love more for my face rather than under my eyes. But I will say this does look really nice under the eyes. You just kind of have to be careful with how much you're applying because this is a good bit thicker than this. So honestly, I just couldn't pick one or the other. So these are the two I would pick if I had to pick one. First, I am gonna go in with the Radiant Creamy. This one actually works well on your face and under your eyes. It's just not as full coverage, in my opinion, as the Soft Matte Concealer. And this is just a really great neutral undertone, which is what I like for under my eyes. To blend this out, I'm going to use this little Real Techniques setting brush, but you can use your finger. I like doing this with a sponge sometimes, but today I kind of want to use a brush. And I'm just kind of tapping this in. Talked about this before, but I remember years ago, I would always hear about this concealer and that, you know, makeup artists loved it, and it was just kind of a cult favorite. Even in Sephora, when you go in and you go to the Nars section, they have a little sign that says this is America's favorite concealer or the #1 concealer in America or something. And I remember I, for a while, didn't really understand it because I tried this a long time ago and I didn't like it. And I realized in the last year, maybe a little over a year, that the reason I didn't like it to begin with was because I had definitely had the wrong shade. And it just made me kind of have a negative view of the concealer overall, even though it wasn't the concealer, it was the color. So if you have a concealer and you don't like it, make sure you don't like it because you don't like the concealer and it's not the color that's throwing you off, because that can really make you feel like you don't like something. And now I'm going to take a little bit of the Soft Matte Concealer and I'm going to use this same brush and go right into this concealer. I'm going to start applying this. So I just kind of lightly tap this all over my face. And I'm doing my makeup in this order, like doing my concealer first because of the foundation that I'm going to use, which that may give you a hint which foundation I chose. Okay, moving on to foundation. I thought about this one so much because I could not decide. There are so many foundations that I really do love, but at the end of the day, I had to go with my Bare Minerals Original Powder. This is the one I've been using the longest, and it's just a go-to for me. It always looks good on my skin, and this color in particular just works so well for me, and it's Fairly Light, number 3. It's one of the first, or one of the original colors that they had. And I take this. This is my new favorite brush. I don't see myself switching to a different brush for Bare Minerals now that I found this one. And it's the Alima Pure Foundation brush. And it's just a really dense kabuki style brush with a longer handle. I zoomed you in a little bit more so you can really see, hopefully. So what I do is, this is how I apply Bare Minerals. I do not really follow their suggested technique, which is to buff like in circles. I kind of stipple it onto my face. And I've done several Bare Minerals videos here on my channel that I'll link in the cards for you, but I find for me and my skin, this is the way I get the coverage I want from this. Can you see the glow this has? I love it. This is just, it's a cult favorite for a reason. There's a reason that even on Ulta's website, I think, if you look up the original Bare Minerals powder, it still has like, not 5 stars, but I want to say like 4.5 stars and like 20,000 reviews or something like that, maybe more than that. And there's a reason why. One thing I will say about this foundation that I feel like it's kind of a common misconception, and you might be thinking this because I applied my concealer first, but you can actually apply a cream concealer over this foundation, because when you put it on your skin and you blend it in, this foundation turns into a creamy texture. That's what gives it that kind of luminosity and makes you not look like you're wearing powder. So if you wanted to wear this foundation with concealer on top, you could do it. A cream concealer, I mean. They also have powder Bare Minerals concealers that I like. But if you wanted to put a cream on top of this, you definitely can. Super easy, super quick, and it's beautiful. If you don't like the glowier finish, they do make more of a matte finish. I haven't tried that myself because I like the glowy finish, but they do make that as well. But for my one foundation, I knew I had to go with this one. All right, moving on to a powder. I'm not a huge powder fan, but my favorite and the one I would choose if I had to is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder. I have the shade number 1. And I like this simply because it doesn't look like powder. I also like that this is in a compact. I find for whatever reason I don't gravitate towards loose powders as much. I don't know why, but I seem to always choose my powders that come in a compact. And this one is just very fine. Like, it does not look like powder on your face, which is why I like it. It doesn't make you look dry and like you've caked a ton of stuff all over your face. I really don't need much of this, especially because I use Bare Minerals, but I do like this for my face and under my eyes. So that would be the powder that I would choose. For a bronzer, this one was kind of hard for me to choose. I have a lot of bronzers that I like, but this is actually a newer favorite, but I love this, and it's also from Bare Minerals. It's the Endless Summer Bronzer in the shade Faux Tan. I love this because it's a nice matte bronzer, and it doesn't pull too orangey or too warm, but it's not too cool toned. It's right in between. I love it. I love it on my eyes. And this was an immediate love for me. I remember when I tried this the first time, I knew instantly that was going to be a favorite because I just loved it. Kind of reminds me of the Milani Silky Matte bronzer that I love in 01 Sunlight. And I thought about choosing that one, but honestly, lately I've just been going for this one. So that's why I chose this. But it is similar to the Milani. I mean, look how pretty it is. So natural looking. I love it. For a blush, you may be able to guess this one also because I talk about this a lot, but my favorite is hands down Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic in the shade Climax. And this is what the color looks like. It's kind of an interesting color. It looks almost kind of brown on the outside, but when you put it on, it has more of a kind of a rosy bronze undertone, and then you have this really pretty light pink in the center. It's just my favorite. It goes with everything, and Charlotte Tilbury blush, I just love. I love it always, no matter what. I also love just the Charlotte Tilbury formula. They're not so pigmented that they're intimidating, so you don't have to worry about going in with way too much and then trying to figure out how to undo it. They're very user-friendly, in my opinion, because I know blush can be kind of scary for some people, myself included sometimes, because I don't want to look, I don't want to look like I have too much blush on, especially me, because I already have natural redness in my cheek area, so I don't want to look too rosy in that area, but with these, you can really build them up to be super intense, or you can make it super natural, which I really love. And I have several colors, but this one is my favorite because it goes with everything. But look how pretty it looks with that bronzer. I love it. Okay, moving on to eyebrows. Hands down, if I could only have one brow product, it would be the e.l.f. Wow Brow. I've been madly in love with this since the first time I tried it, and yeah, I know without a doubt, if I could only pick one, this would be the one for sure. I use the shade Neutral Brown, if you're curious. So depending on what I'm doing for the day, sometimes I will kind of fill in my brows first and then go in with this. And then sometimes, like if I'm just doing my makeup really quickly, I just go in with this. It just kind of depends on the day. And then sometimes when I want to be like very extra and I want to spend more time on my eyebrows, I'll do this first, and then I'll use like a brow pen or something and draw my little brow strokes because I like more of the feathery eyebrow look. And then honestly, I would use whatever brow product I have to fill them in. The Wow Brow is definitely my favorite, but to fill in right now, I'm using this MAC Shape and Shade brow pen. And this is in the shade Lingering. I've shown this before, but I basically brush my brows up and then I use this pen to draw little hairs just in the areas where I have some sparseness. Okay, moving on to the eyes. If I could only pick one eye primer, this would definitely be it. It's the Nars Smudge Proof Tinted Eyeshadow Primer in the shade Light. I don't use a primer all the time on my eyes, but when I use one, this is the one that I use. It's been my favorite for a long time since I tried it. I like the tinted version because I also have a lot of discoloration on my eyelids, and this one just really helps even everything out. I have very veiny eyelids, and it helps my shadow blend easier, helps my shadow last longer on my eyes. For eyeshadow, you guys, this, I had to think about this for a second also, but I ended up going with this palette, and some people may say this is boring. Maybe it is for some, but it is everything I love in an eyeshadow palette, and it's the Too Faced Born This Way Natural Nudes palette. And this is what it looks like. I've used it on my channel a few times. It has a great mixture of mattes and shimmers, and it's neutrals. You have everything. You have a light all over lid shade in here. You have really good crease shades. You have darker shades. You have a dark brown that you can use for liner, which is what I do a lot of the times. This is just everything that I personally love in an eyeshadow palette. So I knew this is the one that I had to choose. I am first going to go in with the shade Swan, which is the really light, creamy shade. And I am going to put this all over the lid and then kind of pull it up into the crease and above the, or under the brow. Now I'm going to go in with the shade Seashells. It's kind of more of a pinky matte brown. And I'm just going to take it with this BK Beauty 201 brush. This is also the one crease brush I would choose if I had to. I love this one. Really soft, really fluffy, and it just really, just lightly applies your shadow, which I love. And it's a really good blending brush too. Okay, now I'm going in with this shade, which is called Nude. It's a little bit more of a cool toned brown. And I'm going to go in with more of tapered brush. This is BK Beauty, the 202. And we're going to put this kind of in the same area. We put the seashell shade, but I'm not going to take it up as far. Just kind of keeping it right where I can feel the crease of my eye. I will say that Nars eyeshadow primer truly does, in my opinion, make my eyeshadows blend more easily. I never feel like my shadows look patchy when I use that primer, and I don't know how it does it, but I really do feel like it makes a big difference in how your shadows apply. So if you ever have trouble with your eyeshadows just not looking super smooth when you put them on, definitely try an eyeshadow primer. I definitely don't think they're 100% necessary, but I do think that they help sometimes. Now I'm going in with the shade Maple. It's a little bit of a deeper, kind of a more caramelly tone. It's pretty warm. And I'm going to go in with that same brush, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of this at the outer corner in like a little triangle shape. And then I'll just kind of use the tip of my brush to kind of blend this in with the other colors. So I basically just want to add a little bit of that warm caramel tone, but I don't want the look to get too warm, if that makes sense. This is also one of my most used brushes. I need to do an updated brushes video, but these two brushes, both from BK Beauty, they're both awesome. I use these more than any other brushes that I have for the eyes, and it's the 201, which is this one. It's just a really big fluffy brush, and then the 202, which is the more tapered brush. These are definitely the two I use the most. So if I had to choose two eyeshadow brushes, these would be the two, and if I had to choose one, it would be the 202, because you can do what you can do with the 201 with the 202 and more. So I feel like if I had to pick one eye brush, it would definitely be this one. Okay, now I want to get a little bit of shimmer on my lids. So I'm going to take this, also from BK Beauty, it's the 203. It's just a little shader brush, and some MAC Fix Plus. And I'm just going to spray the brush and go in with this shade, which is called Golden Light. It's a really pretty coppery shimmer. And I am going to go in on my lid and kind of tap this towards the outer half of my lid. I think I want this to be a little more golden, so I'm going to take some on my finger and pop it. Yeah, see how you can really see it more with your finger? Yeah, that makes a big difference. That shade is really, really pretty. And now I'm going to go into this color. It's called Shimmering Pearl. It's a really light gold, shimmery gold. And I'm going to take my same brush again and just tap this in the inner part of my lid. And then now I am going to just take my pinky finger and I'm going to take a little bit of that shade again and just pop it right in the inner part of my lid, just to make that pop a little bit more. These colors, you guys, this is truly, if I had to, that's why I had to pick this palette, because I know if I could choose what kind of colors I gravitate towards the most, it's things like this. And now I do have an eyeliner. I don't do eyeliner all the time, but when I do it, I love this one the most. And it's Charlotte Tilbury. It's the eye powder pencil in the brown shade. And I like this because it's a little bit of a different, or it is a different texture than most eyeliners. It's more of a powdery texture. So it's not as intense and you can kind of work with it a little bit. So there is a swatch of it. And I love it. It has a tiny bit of a shimmer to it. They do make a pencil in black, I think, in the eye powder pencil that does not have shimmer, but the brown one does have a little bit of shimmer, which I don't mind. But what I like to use this for is my little wing that I've been obsessed with, kind of in the outer corner. So I'm gonna go in with this pencil. So what I like to do is take just a tiny bit on the outer corner, and then I'll kind of pull it up a little bit, kind of into the little wing shape that I want. And then I will go back into my palette and go to the dark brown, which is truffle, and my favorite little angled brush, which is the BK Beauty 208 brush. And I will try to keep my eye open and just create my little wing that I've been loving. Okay, I think I've evened these wings out as much as I can at this point, so we're just gonna move on. I am gonna take these shades we put in the crease, so Nude and Seashell, so these two. And we're just gonna put this on our bottom lash line. Now we'll move on to a mascara. And this was also kind of a hard pick because recently I've found quite a few mascaras that I love. But, well, first let me tell you what if I could only choose one eyelash curler, it would be this one. And it's Cerave Beauty, this lash curler. I don't know what it is about this curler for me. I guess it's just, it fits my eye shape really well. But ever since I've gotten this is the only one I've ever gotten. Probably could stand to get a replacement for this because I've had this for years. Ever since I used this one though, this is all that I've used. I haven't used another eyelash curler since. And for the mascara, like I said, I had to think about this one, but I know that the one that I love the most and the one that I've loved probably the longest, like true love, is Benefit Roller Lash. I would definitely recommend the e.l.f. Keep Your Curl. It is very, very similar to this. I'm going with the Benefit one because this is the one I've loved the longest, and if I could only ever have one, I would choose this one over all of them, even though the e.l.f. one is a really good dupe for this one. I definitely would choose more of a lengthening mascara over more of a volumizing mascara if I had to pick. I like both, but I think that's one of the reasons I love this one is it really does lengthen your lashes. Okay, and last but not least, we have the lips. Again, I had to think about this for a little while, but ultimately I went with my Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat. And this is the shade Pillow Talk. I don't know that I would say I have a favorite shade of these, but these are my favorite lip liners. I have original Pillow Talk today, but I also really love Iconic Nude. And I also love Hot Gossip. Those are definitely my three favorites. In fact, I might grab Hot Gossip. Hold on. Okay, so I grabbed Hot Gossip. I'll swatch it for you. Hot Gossip is not as pinky as Pillow Talk. So this is Hot Gossip here. And then, yeah, so Pillow Talk is a lot pinkier than Hot Gossip. I love them both. Today, let's see what I want to do. Today I'm going to use Hot Gossip. There are many reasons that I love the lip cheats. Number one, she has the best neutral nude shades, in my opinion. I have pretty much all of the neutral lip cheat colors, and they're just the perfect tones. I love them. They are creamy enough so that they're easy to apply, but they're not so creamy that you feel like you don't get any pigment or they kind of slide off your lips. These also last a very long time on your lips. I don't know what it is, but for me, these just really, really stay well, even when you eat and drink. I don't know what it is, but I love them. I just went over with a little bit of pillow talk. For a lipstick, my favorite hands down, yet again, another Charlotte Tilbury. It's the Hot Lips 2 in JK Magic. I've talked about this tons and tons and tons of times. So this is it right here. It's just really peachy nude. And it's just my favorite. It's my favorite in color and in formula because it's very creamy, but it's very pigmented. It's comfortable, and I just love it. I love it. This is one I would never be without, for sure. And last but not least, for a lip gloss, I love lip gloss. I have so many, but of all of them, I love Buxom White Russian the most. It is the perfect milky nude, pinky nude. And it gives you a little bit of the plumping effect also. I don't think these are like uncomfortably plumping. I've heard some people talk about lip plumpers and say like they start to burn or you don't like the way they feel. I never feel that way with White Russian. I love it. And I have one more item to share with you, and that is a setting spray. And this was pretty easy because this is the one I reach for the most, hands down. And my favorite has to be the Colourpop Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. Pretty fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. I also love the Charlotte Tilbury Setting Mist. The only thing I don't like with that one is the smell. And it's not that it's a bad smell, but it's just a very strong smell. Sometimes I don't love that in a setting mist. So I went with this one. As you can see, I've used quite a bit of this one, and I can definitely say I would repurchase this. I also love the mister on here. It's a very, very fine, kind of feels like rain is falling, like very, very misty rain falls on your face, if that makes sense. But I love this one. This one has a little bit of a fragrance as well, but it's very, very mild compared to the Charlotte Tilbury one. So my favorite setting spray is from Colourpop. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. Like I said, I've tried to do this video many times before, but I could never narrow down my products to just one. But this time I feel like I got it right. I feel very confident about these picks. So I hope you guys liked it. Let me know in the comments some of your ride or die favorite products. So your mascara, concealer, foundation, whatever. If you could just choose one out of everything, tell me what those are in the comments because I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and go follow me on Instagram at the same username, simply.blair. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Remember, simply be you. Bye.